So is there any hope to stopping the bill that was approved by the House of Representatives this weekend that's going to send $95 billion in foreign aid to other countries that didn't include a cent for Americans' safety? Let's read more in this article from the Daily Mail. Senate Republicans are trying to kill $95 billion bill giving corrupt Ukraine over $60 billion and Israel $26 billion because it has $0 for border security and could lead to TikTok takedown in the U.S. The foreign aid package has led to a bare rift within the GOP almost as vast as the one between the two parties. Senator Lindsey Graham tore into Ohio Republican J.D. Vance for his anti-Ukraine stance over the weekend. Quote, "That is garbage." The Senate looks poised to send a sprawling package with aid for Israel and Ukraine to President Biden's desk this weekend, but Republicans are pulling out moves to delay the bill's passing. Just as the Senate is anxious to get on the road for its scheduled recess, Republicans who oppose the bill are demanding votes on amendments and procedural motions to hold up the bill, and urging their colleagues to vote against it. The upper chamber will vote to invoke cloture and begin debate on the bill Tuesday morning, starting at 30-hour o'clock before they vote on final passages unless there's agreement to vote sooner. Senate leaders could offer angry opposers votes on their amendments to keep them from holding up the legislation any longer. "We don't have to pass this bill. Tell your senators to vote no." Lee has put forth an amendment to make sure the Ukrainian loan provisions must be repaid. They are forgivable in the U.S. House version. The foreign aid package has laid bare a rift within the GOP almost as vast as the one between the two parties. Senator Lindsey Graham tore into Ohio Republican Senator J.D. Vance for his anti-Ukraine stance over the weekend. Vance had written in a New York Times op-ed that Ukraine could not win the fight against Russia, even with U.S. aid. Ukraine's challenge is not the GOP. It's math. Ukraine needs more soldiers than it can field, and it needs more material than the United States can provide, Vance wrote. Which is true. I mentioned in my last video that they need our fighter jets because theirs all got shot down, right? They need our troops, which we don't have actual troops on the ground, but they have mercenaries over there. And we know that they've been, trying to enlist women and, men over 40 to fight in their war. I mean, the proof is in the pudding with that right there. But that is garbage, Graham shot back on Fox News Sunday. "I was there 2 weeks ago. They changed their conscription laws. They have all the manpower they need. They need weapons," he continued. "It's one thing to talk about Ukraine over here. It's another thing to go." That doesn't mean anything to Americans. How about answering this first? Why should I care about what happens in Ukraine when they're not even an American ally and I have problems in my own country that aren't being addressed by the leadership? But Senator Rand Paul, meanwhile, raised concerns about a provision in the package that would force Chinese-owned ByteDance to divest TikTok or face a U.S. ban. The censors who abound in Congress will likely vote to ban TikTok or force a change in ownership, he wrote in an op-ed. It would violate the First Amendment rights of over 100 million Americans who use TikTok to express themselves. He sounded off about Democrats waving corrupt Ukraine flags in the House floor as they voted on the package. Ukrainians' flags fly in the chamber of the United States House of Representatives as they vote to send more of your hard-earned money to a corrupt foreign regime. And just like that, they shout Ukraine while happily working to secure Ukraine's borders, not ours. On Saturday, Speaker Mike Johnson risked his political career to shepherd through over $60 billion in Ukrainian aid on the House floor on Saturday as part of the $95 billion aid package for U.S. allies, which confusingly, Ukraine is not an ally, but whatever. The package in total gives $26 billion to Israel, $60.8 billion to Ukraine, and $8 billion to the Indo-Pacific through a combination of military and humanitarian aid. The package, consisting of 3 separate bills, was voted on alongside a 4th sidecar that includes a potential TikTok ban and a vehicle to repurpose seized Russian assets for Ukraine. By far the most contentious of the day, and the one Johnson could lose his job over, passed 311 to 112. "We would rather send bullets to the conflict overseas than our own boys, our troops," Johnson insisted over the vote. The Israel aid bill passed 366 to 58, with opposition largely consisting of progressives who wanted the aid conditioned on a ceasefire, which is what all aid should be conditioned on, in my opinion. We shouldn't just fund war. We need to say, hey, look, if you're going to accept our money, you guys have to start negotiating, and we are the mediators. And if you don't let us mediate a peace talk between the two of you countries or three or whatever it is, then you don't get our money. It's as simple as that. We shouldn't be giving aid other than aid in movement towards peace, right? But the Democrats and a small handful of Republicans waved Ukrainian flags on the House floor during the vote and cheered as it passed. They were reminded it is a violation of decorum to wave flags on the floor. The sidecar bill passed 360 to 58 with an amendment that requires Treasury to submit a support on Iranian assets and sanction exemptions. The Indo-Pacific bill to offer military aid to Taiwan against a fast encroaching China passed 385 to 34, with 34 Republicans voting against it, one Democrat, Rep. Rashida Tlaib, voting present. President Joe Biden praised passage of the foreign aid package. Today, members of both parties in the House voted to advance our national security interest and send a clear message about the power of American leadership on the world stage. Yes, that clear message is that Republicans always bend and fold to the Democrats. The Democrats never fold and bend to the Republicans. So it's always Democrats gaining inch by inch and Republicans never gaining anything back, simply maybe slowing the Democrats a little bit. But the vote comes days after CIA Director Bill Burns warned that Ukraine would lose its war with Russia by the end of the year if the U.S. failed to send additional military support. You know, it's time to start looking at what does Ukraine losing the war to Russia really mean. I believe it's just Russia taking a little bit of land that they probably have already taken by now. And it's time to ask, how many more billions of dollars is it worth spending to continue this war, which is only going to provide more death, which is something that none of us should want. America has a lot of problems, and it would be nice if some of this money and this passion that our leaders exhibit would actually be applied toward making Americans' actual lives better and more secure. I don't understand why they wouldn't want that and why they wouldn't do that. Maybe it's because they do what they want and they still get elected. Let me encourage you to learn who your state representatives are, the people that your state sends into the Senate, the House. Research who they are, what they believe, how long they've been doing the job, and make sure that you're voting in your local elections. Make sure your mayor, your governor represents you, and see if your representative voted for this package or not. I don't know if even giving their office a call would help, considering I think they know where the people stand and that we don't support packages like this. But mainly, make sure you just get out there and vote. Vote these people out. And I'm not saying go vote for a Democrat if that person for you is a lifelong Republican or something like that. We need to get them replaced on the earlier levels. We need to vote early. We need to vote in all those little minor elections in our towns. And just like I said, once again, that's where it starts, and that's how we actually can vote our way out of this. It's not by going in and just checking a box for Democrat or Republican down the line. It's not just going in there and filling out for a president and leaving everything else empty. It's participating in what's going on in your city, your state, your county, and ultimately your nation. But voting on all those levels is the only way we're going to change who's up there doing what they're doing right now. That's our best hope. If you agree with that, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you for watching to the end, and I'll see you guys in the next one.